Turning now to an unprecedented success story out of Haiti. Conjoined 6-month-old twin girls separated after a long-anticipated and grueling surgery.
Many of the best doctors from the country and also here in the U.S. were part of the extraordinary effort. And Dr. Jon LaPook is here with us to preview his full story, which will air later tonight on the evening news. Dr. LaPook, thanks for joining us.
Great to be here.
So talk about this coming out of Haiti. Has this ever happened there before?
No, nothing close. This is a country that's trying to rebuild the healthcare system, rebuild that never really existed in the first place. And the thought of doing a sophisticated operation like this would have been absolutely unheard of. And these twins were born, they're 6 months old, and they were born in November. They knew early on there was something going on. At 23 weeks, they confirmed with ultrasound that they were, in fact, conjoined. And that started a huge process. There's a modern hospital in Mirebalais, Central Haiti, you know it.
Yep.
And Paul Farmer and his group, Partners in Health, helped construct it with the help in conjunction with the Haitian government. A hospital like this has never existed before. So there's a doctor, Dr. Henri Ford, who was born in Haiti, left just before his 14th birthday, went back to the United States, tremendous career, Ivy League trained, became the head of pediatric surgery at Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. And he would come back just maybe 2 or 3 times until the earthquake hit. And then he came back here and he said, you know, it's not just one and done. He started coming back 4 or 5 times a year. So when these twins were born, the people at the hospital knew where to turn, and they said, can you help us out?
So how long did this process take, and why these twins? They're so adorable. We were just looking at images of them where they're playing with each other, they're holding each other's hands. Why did you choose them?
Well, first of all, they capture your heart.
Yeah.
The second you first time I saw them, they're holding each other's hands. And they're putting their hands in each other's mouths. And they have this personality. I asked Manushka and David Bernard. The twins are named Michelle and Marion. They're actually triplets. Tamar was born separately, and she's perfectly fine.
Wow.
And I asked tell me about their personalities, and Manushka just lit up. She said, well, you know, Marion's full of life, and, you know, if Michelle is sleeping, she'll wake her up.
She'll wake her up,
but
right.
Michelle is more subdued. If Marion is sleeping, Michelle will wait quietly. So she said they're conjoined, but they already have their separate personalities.
And how are they doing now? What are they like?
Well, they said, why them? Because it had never been done before, and I asked David. I said, did you think about not separating them? And he said, you know, they did, and then they thought, you know what, they're going to have any shot at a normal life. Right. This is it. David Bernard should know about long shots. Believe it or not, after the earthquake, he was buried for 7 days.
What?
Wow.
Under rubble, and survived.
7 days.
7 days, and sorry, he knows about long shots.
Yes.
Then he got triplets, another long shot. He said, you know what? Let's go for the trifecta. And he said, let's go for it. And then they assembled this, Dr. Ford assembled this incredible dream team from Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. Dr. Jim Stein helped the system. He had done this was his 6th operation like this to separate conjoined twins. Team from Orlando, Florida, team from Oakland, they were all helping. And then there was a standby team for post-op care up in Boston. I was there for the operation. And it was nearly 7 hours long, was very dramatic. And I'll tell you one moment of real drama. It just went well. By the way, color-coded, so you may see, yellow, yellow Michello.
Right.
So that was the mnemonic, Michello, yellow. Mine was Michelle Obama. That was how I remembered it, and it was. Red was for Marion, and that's how they kept them straight. So the operation went, they actually drew a line with a Sharpie to separate them. And it was going fine, and then suddenly Michelle's blood pressure dropped precipitously and dangerously. And what was happening was that Michelle had been getting, there was still a connection in the liver, and Michelle had been getting blood from Marion. Now that was being cut off. And at the same time, when they tried to give transfusions and fluids, all that was going back to Marion. The answer was to separate them, make the separation complete as quickly as possible. Right. These surgeons were cool as cucumbers. The clock's going like this, and they're just, okay, let's make the separation.
That's an incredible story. I just have to ask, though, why did you, and perhaps you'll explain, perhaps this has to do with the Haitian medical system, which, as you pointed out, didn't really exist even before the earthquake, under the best of times. Why not just bring her here to the U.S.?
Okay.
And why did you decide to do it in Haiti?
Great question. I asked him that. And he was very honest, Dr. Ford. He said, you know, donor fatigue. He said, you bring them here, it's going to be probably $1 million, at least $500,000, plus months, a lot of uncertainties. You may not be able to get visas for the parents, and then where's the support for the parents, their friends? The bonding that would normally, if the parents are in Haiti and the children are here, the bonding isn't done, doesn't occur correctly. And so what he said instead, he decided to do is to do it the other way around and think what that leads to. So Partners in Health, and especially Paul Farmer, who is such an amazing leader in this, right? I always say he's a Nobel Peace Prize waiting to happen.
Yeah, that's true.
Haitians helping Haitians, right? They really want to encourage Haitians helping their own country to rebuild. So yes, they brought all sorts of anesthesiologists, nurses, physical therapists. I spoke to Dr. Wynn, who is just an amazing anesthesiologist from Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. And during the operation, they were all talking to each other. The Haitians were talking to the Americans, Americans talking to the Haitians. It was this transfer. You could just see it. You could feel it, this transfer of knowledge, of expertise. So long after the twins are home, which they are now, perfectly healthy, and long after the surgical team returns to the United States, there's going to be something left in Haiti, which is a team that now has confidence, has expertise, and is be able to do more sophisticated operations in the future.
You know, and it's I was helping you translate some of the tapes, and I heard the father David say that he recognizes how historic this is in the history of Haiti, a country that has suffered for many, many years.
Absolutely. I said, is it hyperbole to think, because I said to Dr. Ford afterwards that we went to his hometown, where, by the way, he says he had to repeat kindergarten like 3 times. He was in kindergarten 3 times because he said, I would have had, he used to like skip out of school. They got him a tutor. I said, what does that show? It says it shows, you got to keep, never give up.
For it.
But he said, he felt the weight of the country. It was a huge burden on his shoulders. When I first met him, he was, how you doing? Sac passe. How you doing?
Right.
Nothing to worry about.
Right.
And then afterwards, after the operation, we were just right in the room right next to the operating room. I said, boy, you look tired. He said, you know what? I got to be honest with you. I had the weight of the world on me. But fortunately, the weight of the world is not on him right now. The children are doing beautifully. There was a little moment I heard where, when they were in separate cribs, for the first time they were crying. One of them was crying because they were separate. They put them back together in the crib, and they're perfectly fine. So, a happy story coming from Haiti.
Great. That's
nothing better than that.
Nothing better than that.
Story.
Very great.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you, Jon LaPook. Thank you so much, Dr. LaPook. And you can watch that full report tonight on the Evening News. We'll be back in 90 seconds. This is CBSN.